Denmark. Of all nations to get a focus tree, the country that didn't survive very long against Germany. 2 hours before it capitulated. And we start with the Denmark focus tree. Reaffirm neutrality and surrender. And that's it, guys. That is the Dev Diary. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Psych! Historical context. Denmark followed a path of neutrality before it was invaded by Germany at the start of World War II. The aim was to capitulate, to maintain the people and the infrastructure to try and avoid it getting absolutely dumpstered like the Poles did. However, there was an actual formal resistance movement inside of Denmark that did stand against the Germans. Does this mean government in exile mechanics? Maybe. On the other end of the scale, there was a government in exile that did work for the Allies to eventually work on trying to liberate the Danes. And after the war effort, the Danes focused on industrial enhancement and employment as part of their recovery strategy. Recover from what? You surrendered within 2 hours. New map changes. Here we go. So it does look like we've got extra states here. Ooh, look, this says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm almost certain there's only 3 in the original version, right? Besides that, the Danish belts have also gotten a makeup as well. It looks like it's created a new sea zone within this region. So island archipelago is definitely a thing. Denmark's starting position in 1936. Oh, wow. New icons. So you can see the new Mayo system they're going to implement. And now they've got official new icons updated for that. And we do also see a balance of power. And we see lots of red for national spirits. Yay. Now, you think Denmark would have it really bad being a small minor nation with not a lot of factory or military. But what do you know? They're giving it the Kaiserreich effect. Oh, no. So the more observant people here will notice that Denmark is a disarmed nation to better reflect their unpreparedness and policy of disarmament. Secondly, you also notice there's an upcoming election in April 1936. So here you're going to be able to decide what ideological path you can go, and it's done through the democratic process of the focus tree. That's interesting. So here it is: neglected military, mobilization down, surrender limit, planning speed down. Okay, these aren't actually too bad. Of course, surrender limit makes a big impact because that's what allows the Germans to annex you quickly. Next up, economic crisis, population reduction. Ooh, this is new. Also losing stability, which is painful, and also support for non-aligned. Oh, so wonder what non-aligned would be represented. And also Danish industrial capabilities, 30% consumer goods. What? So I really don't like this because I feel like this is beating a man when he's down, because Denmark isn't very strong to begin with. So you basically start out more behind than you've ever been, even though you don't have a lot to begin with. Not sure if I'm a fan of this. So the consumer goods factor may look high, and I know that a few of you are wondering about that. We know that it seems high, but don't worry, it's a new modifier which we'll be explaining in the future Dev Diary. I did make a note of that in the last Dev Diary. They've changed the wording from consumer goods to consumer goods factories factor, so that they've modified the wording of that, so it probably means something different. Is it 30% as a whole instead of just a proportion of what you're losing? I don't know. We'll see. Well, there is a balance of power now, so it's basically welfare versus warfare. Oh, that's kind of cute. Nice wording paradox. Oh, and this is so good too. Little arrows to indicate if you're moving left or moving right. Oh, this is such a good change. One of the issues with the Ethiopian path is you just never knew if you're moving left or right, and you have to remember the names of the factions to remember if you're going left or right. This is so cool. And there are lots of decisions to be made as well. So maximum welfare spending looks like this. So loads of pop growth, but you're neutering your military production. You're getting loads of research. Infrastructure and cities and railways are getting a massive boost, but your military factories are getting penalized. Oh, this is so good. So now you can prioritize your economy and what direction you want to go. Once again, my only fear is there's just not a lot of production to begin with as Denmark. So you're not really gaining a lot. You're not losing a lot. I suppose if you were in a state where, I don't know, in somewhere weird way, you could annex Germany as Denmark. In that case, you'd have so many factories to work with. This would actually make a meaningful impact. On the other end of the scale, maximum military spending gives a massive whopping cap to your production as well as your efficiency, training time. But of course, your industry takes an absolute beating. It actually looks like that your maximum military spending is actually the more favorable one when it comes down to just the overall perks. This is a really good system. Once again, there needs to be downsides and needs to be upsides. And I like the fact that they've not overdone it with tooltips as well. This is just the right amount of tooltips. Any more than this and you'd be like, oh, too much. But this is just the right amount. Temperature on the porridge is just right. Advisors. We have many different corgis here. Amazing. A welfare architect, an elusive gentleman, a prince of terror. You can see this guy reduced consumer goods factor, stability. So it kind of looks to me like your consumer goods factor is very high, but then there's loads of ways you can reduce it by getting advisors. An interesting increase in recruitable population as well. Once again, Denmark, not a very populous nation, not a lot of factory output. So meaningful changes are going to make a really big impact for that nation. The politics. So you can see you've got a balance of power, motion of no confidence to lose your prime minister, I believe, probably to replace it with someone else, maybe someone of a different ideology. And there you go. You can vote a snap election and knock on the vote of no confidence. And you can basically set the path you want to go for. Well, man, this makes it so easy. You just select the ideology. Is it that easy? And here we have the focus tree. So we can see on the left here, we've got the industry stuff, some military stuff. Then we have the main ideological stuff in the very center. Nothing censored out, which is surprising. Industrial branch features an international market subsidy to speed up purchases. So technically, you're not relying on domestic production of guns and weapons. You are relying on the market, purchase them externally. So you're going to rely very heavily on the civilian economy to build up a very strong military base just by relying on international arms. I wonder how viable that is for a long-term war and whether eventually you're going to have to lean back on your own domestic production. Danish produce, you can see reduces supply, attrition, supply efficiency. Interesting bonuses, not really jump out at me, but they're different, I suppose. Interesting one here, this increases construction time by supply dose by 25%. It makes me wonder in what scenario you would need to take advantage of that, but I'll say this one is very OP because you've got efficiency of supply, which just looks to me a base increase of supply, and also supply range, which I believe you can get that for Italy and Ethiopia, which is mad strong, which just basically increases the supply hub supply range, which is just a flat increase in the amount of supply. You can't complain about that. You've also got the option to develop remote regions. So you've not really got a lot of states to begin with, but with this, you can add more building slots to more far out locations, develop the Faroe Islands and develop Greenland. Greenland focus tree when? It's sad that Denmark's such a small nation and its impact on the war was pretty small. However, it gets such an up-to-date, more advanced focus tree. And I know this is a cliche of every Hoi 4 boyo, like, when's the German rework coming? But it'd be really cool to see this kind of stuff for Germany, right? No? Got the option for extra steel, got the option for extra aluminium, and of course, wow, steel, chromium, and tungsten in Greenland? Ooh. The problem's going to be is if you don't have enough investment to actually go for these extra resources, but man, the fact that these exist is so cool. The military branch. Making aware this is super alt history because Denmark did not do a lot of military things. That's interesting to see. So this is all fake. Interesting bonuses that give defenses in certain regions as well. Once again, this is going to hold back the Germans just for a little bit longer. Core territory defense is good as well as entrenchment. Nice options to hold the Germans a little bit longer. Trust you're going to need every bonus you can be able to use. At the end of the day, Denmark, you just don't have a big army to field anyway. And this is your big bonus to your army, navy, and forces. And it is a worthy bonus too. Interesting defense for armored divisions and defense for artillery. Something that doesn't traditionally have a lot of defense anyway. New cool option here to refit ships. Believe this is costing you political power and it allows you to refit your civilian ships to military ships, right? Not exactly the most advanced ship, but it's a ship, okay? And also the option to purchase ships from Germany, the UK, and USA. Interesting, USA, interesting. And Germany's interesting as well. So it looks like they've integrated the international market to a lot of the military decisions you're going to make as Denmark. And it looks like there's a lot of extra bonuses to funds for certain myos to take advantage of these bonuses. So this is what I was mentioning before, the unifying spirit. Denmark used two different air forces, an army and a navy. They were unified in the 50s, but you don't have to wait. There's an option to actually do that. And it generates overall some juicy bonuses. Wow, agility plus 10%. That's pretty sweet. Ace efficiency, escort efficiency. To be fair, all of these are pretty girthy. The political path. So it reaffirms neutrality, offers a declaration of neutrality spirit, allows for enhancement of industrial capabilities and full employment, offers an alternative historical path where Denmark becomes a puppet state. Kind of goes the similar path that Czechoslovakia has the option to do when it basically becomes a German puppet to, I don't know, continue your existence through the Axis or maybe to later break away. Here we go, declaration of neutrality, and it means that when you are completely annexed, you become a puppet of the nation that annexed you, and you are continuing your existence now as a democratic nation. Oh, surprisingly, a democratic nation, but a puppet of Germany. That's a little bit different, and that also comes with an occupation path, which I presume is very historical. The occupation path focuses on building resistance movement against the occupying forces, provides options to align with foreign powers for support and joining faction, and allows setup of an exiled force in another country with new division templates. The Swedish accepts to host our troops. So does this mean, well, I guess that means you're in exile in Sweden, right? And you can train your armed forces inside of Sweden using the exile mechanics. Okay, that's kind of cool. You usually would always go to the UK or lead of the Axis, lead of the Allies, so it's kind of cool that's an option. Eventually though, your option is to eventually break away, and it gives you the options here to attack and defend against the Germans, increase resistance, as well as increase balance of power towards being more warfare than welfare. Offers a different balance of power for subjects, crucial to regaining freedom. Decisions to regain freedom are unlocked through various focus paths. In conclusion, this update provides more strategic depth and historical context for Denmark in the game, offering, once again, nothing here that really blows me away. I feel like this is kind of a repeat of the Czech focus tree. I like the fact that they're taking advantage of the balance of power. And I do like the different spin on being a disarmed nation and you having to rely on international market, which is the new game mechanics, which is a really cool new way of using those actions. And I do like the fact that you've got options to expand as Denmark by prospecting for resources in some of your colonies, which is a nice little touch. However, Denmark, once again, nothing against Denmark, but man, of all the nations to get a focus tree, particularly a good one, I'm like dying for that German focus tree now. Anyway, you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you. See you soon. You've watched it. You can't unwatch it. And keep watching it. This is the next video. Give this one a click.